All right, welcome to RetireJapan TV, where we talk about personal finance, investing, retirement, and life in Japan. But we're not really disciplined about that, are we? Basically, we're going to talk about any old nonsense that comes to mind. So, welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. And Daniel, nice to see you
Hello, good
looking
evening.
chipper. You have a Hawaiian
Yes,
style shirt.
yeah, I like it when it's obviously we don't want it too hot, but when it's nice in summer, it's opportunity to get out the shirts,
Oh
try
yeah,
and build up the collection slowly. This is a new one I got. Yeah,
fantastic.
I went shopping with my wife, and it was actually for her. We were looking for, I think it was shoes for her. Walked past this shop, got some shirts, the bargain rail right at the front. Oh, that looks nice. Take it in. Yeah, L, that looks good. Tried it on. Fits. Brilliant. Thank you. I'll have that. And yeah, 5 minutes. I got a nice new shirt for the summer.
Sorted. And your dress code's fairly okay, isn't it,
Flexible.
for work and stuff? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's working from home. Yeah. So, yeah, I
Excellent.
approve of this dress code. So it's all good.
And we don't have a dress code here at RetireJapan TV.
What about
Clothes are compulsory, but any clothes are fine.
what about with your school? Do you have
No, we're
ties,
pretty strict
suit?
actually. So my wife's pretty old school. So shirt and tie in the
Oh.
winter, shirt without tie in the summer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right.
So which is kind of strange because we teach really little kids as well. We teach from 3-year-olds. But my wife thinks that gives us a more professional image, and we're kind of aiming to be a slightly more academic school that focuses a bit more on results and not quite as much on kind of like fun, as it were.
Yeah.
So the uniform is part of that. So our head teacher's trying to get us to adopt polo shirts, which I'm okay with, but I don't think my wife would like. So
okay.
we're scheming at the moment to work on that.
One thing I did like when I was doing English teaching, going around different schools, the good thing about wearing a suit is you can get to wear silly ties. So I have an Ultraman tie, I had a Winnie the Pooh tie, all these different sorts.
I got a Doraemon tie very early on.
Oh, so. Classy. Yeah, they're great for breaking the ice and the conversation topic with the kids.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. So I was on a trip, as you might have noticed. And you sensibly stayed in Japan, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, we did. Yeah, we had a trip as well, but yeah, internally up to Ibaraki Prefecture. Not the first place you think of for a trip, but it was really nice.
That glamorous destination.
Never been there, and now I have, so that's good.
Fantastic. Yeah, I went to London and Spain.
Guessing your budget was a bit higher than mine then.
Oh my God. Like, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when we started planning the trip, so this was a trip that we could take our grandkids to London for the first time, and to Spain to see my uncle and aunt. And so it was kind of for them. And that's why we had to go in the summer. We had to go in the school holidays. And when I first started looking for plane tickets, I was like, oh my God, let's just not go. Because it was so expensive. But we decided, it's kind of a one-off. They're only going to be this age once. We've got the money, so we might as well use it to have a nice memory rather than die with too much in the bank or whatever. So bit the bullet. Found that better flight through Korea. So that's my kind of travel hack. If you're near a regional airport, kind of think outside the box a little bit. You don't necessarily need to go to Narita or Haneda and then fly from there, which are often more expensive as well. You can fly from a regional airport in Japan. Often there's 1 or 2 international flights. Like Sendai, they have 1 flight to Korea and 1 flight to Taiwan, and both of those are hubs. So, but the thing is, if you search for Japan, Europe flights or whatever, you're not going to get those hub flights. You have to go to the specific airline and look for, Sendai to London via Seoul on Asiana, rather than just doing through Google Flights or whatever, because they won't flag them up. Often they'll be overnights and stuff, so that they're not going to come up as simple flights. So we had to stay the night in Seoul, which was actually quite fun.
So you didn't book the flight separately to Korea. It was all one ticket.
It was all one ticket with the same carrier. Actually, we could check our luggage all the way through,
Yeah.
which was just god level. Even though we stayed the night, we actually
right.
went into Korea proper, and we weren't flying until the next day. They were still happy to check our bags all the way through to the final destination, and we just had a little backpack with our change of clothes and stuff.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Amazing.
So you get a free trip, a short visit.
I wouldn't go that far. It did help with the jet lag, I think. Just having that, good rest before the flight and not having another flight as well.
Yeah.
It makes the journey much shorter. And it was fine. It was pleasant. And it was a lot cheaper than flying from a Japanese airport.
Really? Yeah. I've sometimes
so
thought
if you're
about...
in Fukuoka or whatever, you might have, those, even, Niigata and so on. Anywhere with a local airport that has 1 or 2 international flights, that might be an option.
Mhm.
But you're going to have to dig for it. It's not going to pop up automatically.
I've sometimes thought about whether it would be cheaper to book a flight from, for example, Korea to Europe, wherever, and then get your own separate transport to Korea or wherever. I haven't looked into it
Possibly.
enough.
Like, it used to be considerably cheaper to fly London, Tokyo, London than Tokyo, London, Tokyo on the same airline.
Yes.
So you buy it in the UK and it was like half price for some reason. I think there's some kind of cartel going on with Japanese airlines. I don't know if that's still the case. It's a bit of a hassle doing it that way, obviously, because you've got to coordinate and actually go home once a year or whatever. But yeah, I haven't looked at just pretending I live in Korea or whatever and buying it that way. I know that round the world flights work like that. So, you can get these Star Alliance round the world flights. Where, you pay a fixed amount of money and you can have unlimited segments as long as you go one way around the world or whatever. If you start in Korea, it's much cheaper than starting in Tokyo. So that one works. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. This reminds me of a story of a friend of mine told me, I think it was last year. He was sorting out his daughter's visa because she was off to, I think, American University or something. Got that all sorted out. The next day, he'd got a business trip to Korea by himself, went to the airport, showed the passport. The lady at the counter wasn't happy. It was his daughter's passport. He'd accidentally picked it up when he was sorting out the visa. And by that time,
way, sir.
So he was a bit embarrassed. And it was too late to get an alternative flight or something. No, it was too late to go back and get the passport, so he just had to come back the following day. But it worked out at only 6,000 yen extra because the return flight, I think, was altogether maybe 30,000 yen or something like that. But when you bought individually, the one going to Seoul was 6,000 and the one coming back was 24,000. So he was lucky that that was the one direction that was cheaper, which makes me think, if you get a cheap flight one way to Seoul, then do that to Europe and then come back from Europe to Japan, maybe you save a bit of money.
Possibly. I haven't spent that much time on it, but
you'd need a lot of time to try and save the money.
I have forgotten my passport before in the UK. So I had to get a motorbike courier to bring it from Sheffield to near Peterborough.
Wow.
That wasn't fun.
Did you make it in time?
Yeah. I mean, it took a few hours, so pretty impressive for the UK,
Yeah.
I think it was a bloke on a motorbike, basically. So it's like, I always say, like, I was trying to teach my granddaughter about stuff as we did the trip, and I was like, the only thing that really matters is passports, because everything else you can buy. But if you haven't got a passport, that's it. So, I've got a little embarrassing little man bag that I only use for traveling, and that's where I put the passports and my Kindle and stuff. So it's always around my neck. I've got all the passports around my neck. So
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, but takeaways from the trip, like London is so expensive. Especially with the yen where it is now. So, just a few examples. I don't think we had a meal that cost less than £100 for 4 people, including a small child. So
wow.
Which at the moment is over 20,000 yen, right?
Yes.
So we came back to Sendai, had really fancy sushi for my son-in-law's birthday, and that cost less than the cheapest meal we had in London.
Yeah, crazy.
I mean, we went to Pret, Pret, the sandwich
Yep.
shop. We went to Pret with me, my wife, 12-year-old granddaughter, and 5-year-old granddaughter, who basically just had a cookie or whatever. And it cost £45.
£45, which was over 9,000 yen.
And it was just, a few sandwiches and a couple of drinks. I was like, oh my God.
Like going to Starbucks, paid 9,000 yen for a few sandwiches.
Yeah. So yeah, don't take these trips lightly. So basically, my takeaway is, at least at the moment with the exchange rates, it's a far better idea to travel in Japan, unless you have a very good reason, like you want to go and see your family or something. But if you're just taking random trips, then explore Japan instead. Go to Okinawa, go to Miyako, go to Hokkaido.
Yeah, there are still so many places I want to see.
Take advantage of the incredibly cheaper and better quality here rather than abroad.
Yeah.
And also, it's incredibly hot in the summer in Europe now. So apparently Europe is heating much faster than anywhere else in the world. So
really?
Yeah.
You noticed that in Spain, did you?
We had one day. I mean, this is northern Spain, right? And it's got it's almost a British climate where it's cool and rainy all the time. So it should be under 20 degrees in the summer, basically. And we had one day where we had 40 degrees with strong winds from the Sahara. So it felt like being in a convection oven. Like if you were outside, it was like being in an air fryer or something. It was incredible. And the issue, of course, isn't the temperature. It's the fact that there's no adaptation at all. So that no one has air conditioning. No one has fans. The buildings are all built to stay warm. And so, you get these temperatures that in Japan would be unpleasant, and they're positively dangerous in Europe.
Oh, because I don't look into it in detail, but when you see on the news, there's a heat wave in France, I think, or whatever, I think, yeah, well, we get high temperatures in Japan as well. We know what that's like. So it's worse than that, effectively, than we get here.
Well, yeah, I mean, imagine the summer with no air conditioning.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's less humidity, so it's probably not as unpleasant, but it's still, you got 40-degree heat with no air conditioning.
Wow.
Not good. Although, actually, when I first came to Japan, my first apartment for the first year didn't have air conditioning.
Oh.
And I didn't die. Whereas now, I think I would die. I think someone coming from England into Sendai summer, not having air conditioning in 2024 would be, well, it's inconceivable, isn't it?
That's weird, because Sendai is up north, so therefore it's cold in my head. Like north equals cold.
Yeah, we're on this dividing line where it's not properly cold. So like we don't have really well-built houses. So if you go a bit further north to Morioka or something, then the houses are completely different because it's much colder. And often it's the same temperature as Tokyo, but less pleasant. It seems to be more humid here for some reason. So yeah. And the climate's definitely changed. It's far hotter than it was when I arrived in Japan.
Yeah. I don't know. I was down in Kyushu, so yeah. I don't know. I haven't noticed that much difference personally, but
just longer. So the hot period's way longer. Like it used to not be hot in September, and now it's hot into October most years.
I certainly noticed the winters are milder.
Oh yeah, like no snow now. So
yeah.
And talking about preparation, we got a topic today. Maybe it's timely. We were talking about maybe doing it next time, but then like it might be too late. So
yes, I wanted to talk about this because you forwarded, and I can't find it right now. It was a video by is it Dogen or Dogen?
Yes.
Dogen. Who I really like. He posts a lot on Twitter, X, and on YouTube. Generally, it's videos of him doing some kind of monologue or where he'll play two characters, mostly in Japanese.
It's normally comedy as well, eh?
Yes. But this time it was in English, and it was a serious one, which is unusual for him. And also you commented on it saying, this is the video I wish I'd made, or something like that.
Well, no, actually, I said I don't have to make it now that he did it.
Ah, right. And so, okay, that intrigued me enough to go and take a look. And wow, that's really good video. So to summarize for people, it's him talking about the way he phrased it was the upcoming mega earthquake that we are going to have. It's not if, it's a when. And this is the one that the Japanese government warned about a couple of weeks ago after the sort of not too serious earthquake just off Miyazaki coast, because that was close to the Nankai trough, and the risk was that was going to trigger a real Nankai trough earthquake, which could be anywhere from Kyushu up to roughly the Izu Peninsula. And so, yeah, he went into real depth. And right at the start, he explains what the earthquake is, like how it's actually happening under the sea, which is the first time I've seen it explained so clearly like that. It was really, oh, yeah, that makes total sense. Wow.
I think he was summarizing an NHK program.
Oh,
He attributed it. So a lot of the images were from NHK. So I'm guessing that he watched a good program and decided to, put it into English for everyone.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Which is where a lot of that information came from. Because, yeah, I had no idea about the different sections.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so he put it into English for us, which is very nice. But it also lent it weight, rather than just trying to scare people or make it think as though it's just fear-mongering to get clicks. It kind of gave it some credence that he's referencing the Japanese government, he's referencing NHK. Okay, it's something we should take seriously. I'm going to put the link to the video in the comments.
Oh, I stuck it in the chat.
Oh, great. Thank you. Anyway, so yeah, that's well worth a watch. But it made me think, okay, it looks like we've got time to prepare. We've actually already got an emergency kit. But then the other day, I was talking to somebody about solar panels, and they said, oh, rather than solar, you should think about water, because that's the first thing that's you're going to need.
I think that was me, actually.
Oh, well,
I'm obsessed with water as well.
Right. So, there are two sides to it. The one is, how do we make sure we have extra water by stocking up on bottles or whatever, but also how do we reduce water just after some kind of natural disaster. And the things we need water for, a lot of it is washing, and something that is perhaps not a life or death thing is washing the dishes after you've eaten. And I saw a tip from somebody where you can just wrap cling film around your plates, eat your rice or whatever, pasta, and when you've finished, throw away the cling film. You don't need to wash the plate, so you're not using any water. And that made me think, cling film, plastic, not ideal, but paper plates.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but paper plates, I just bought a bunch of those in the supermarket, and now I feel slightly more reassured. And that then made me think, well, what else is there out there that you can do that is preparing for a disaster? It's not going to the extent of buying a full emergency kit, which sometimes takes a long time. I don't know about you, but I'd be analyzing which is the best one to get. Well, that's a bit expensive. Or that one hasn't got this thing. And in the end, you don't buy it because you spend too long analyzing and you never get around to it. So what can you get on your next trip to the supermarket that you can stick in a cupboard? And there you go. You've made one step towards.
I really like that paper plates idea. Hadn't thought of it before, but
yeah. And waribashi, you get extra waribashi from the convenience or something. Stick them in
I think we've got dozens of those, so that's probably okay.
Yeah.
And then maybe cups, like paper cups.
Yes, I've got paper cups, I've got paper plates or bowls anyway. Yeah. Stick them in your trolley, stick them in the cupboard, no extra effort and very little extra money required. So what else is there that we can do that's easy and cheap to prepare for a disaster?
Well, the one thing that I always say is as soon as there's a strongish earthquake and it's stopped or whatever, I'll fill the bath with water just in case the water goes off.
I noticed you said stopped there. That's a good idea. I hadn't thought about
it. Yeah. I mean, first you want to open the door and make sure you've got your exit route and all that kind of thing. But after that, because one of the big things with why you need water is to flush toilets and stuff, and you can flush a toilet even if the water's off by using a bucket, right? You can get the gravity method, but only if you have enough water. So, a bath holds a few hundred liters of water, so that would be very handy if the water was going off.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I hadn't thought about that at all. So we've got fill the bath, straight away, or wait till the shaking has stopped. Paper plates and cups on your next trip to the supermarket. I think cling film is still a good idea, just for covering up stuff that
It's
you might need to
versatile.
wash if you don't.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of putting hot food on it, just because, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But
so another one I thought of is disposable wipes. Either the wipes, hand wipes, for rubbing your hands or body or whatever, but even floor wipes. For wiping the floor. Some of those, because things could spill and drop on the floor during an earthquake, and ideally you want to try and avoid.
Yeah. And some of those body things, the kind of body wipe things, the cooling ones. That would be handy.
Yes. Yeah.
If you haven't got water for a week and you can't wash, just being able to swab yourself off a little bit is going to make a big difference.
Yeah. Another one. Oh yeah, and spare cans of gas. So the gas might go off. Actually, the 3-on-1 11th of March one, I think our gas went off when we were in Tokyo. Couldn't use that for a while. It was automatic. The apartment building just switched off the gas automatically, which is good.
Our gas was off for months.
Oh, really? That long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, because the lines are broken, so they have to find where they're broken before they can switch it on again.
Oh, okay.
So and if you're in the big earthquake, then water and gas can be ages. Electricity is fairly quick. I think they had the electricity back on a few days later, but water and gas took forever.
Right. Yeah. Because it's more physical, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the extra. First of all, it's handy to have a little conroll. The tabletop single gas burner thing that you can do.
That you used to make noodles or something, yeah?
Yes. Good to have one anyway.
Got one. I think everyone has one, right? So
yeah. And extra cans of those, they're not going to go off. So next time in the supermarket, pop an extra 3-pack in your trolley and have that in the back. And you can get, I haven't got one, but I think I've seen you can get a little mini heater that takes these cans instead of any like proper oil and gas and stuff.
That might make a big difference.
Portable.
Yeah.
Now's a good time to get one before everyone thinks of it in the winter.
Right? No one's going to be buying that stuff in summer, but yeah. Because 3/11 it was freezing. Like it was a cruel kind of like that night was particularly cold. So we were freezing. We were sleeping in like every single blanket we had in the house. We had on like. And we were lucky because we had an old school kerosene stove, not an electric one, like the ones you put kettles on and stuff. So
I did see a life hack where you can get little tea light candles on their own. They burn, they give off heat, but you can turn them into a heater by putting them under a terracotta flower pot, which has got a hole in the top, and then little spacers at the bottom, so there is some air. Like a gap for air to get into the bottom. So that heats up the air inside the flower pot. That draws in cool air from the bottom and then pumps out hot air from the top. It wasn't very effective. I love the idea. We tried it one night. So I can't really
might need a few more candles.
Yeah. So I don't know how practical it is. Maybe if you got loads of tea lights and some spare flower pots, it's worth a go. But it didn't really work.
I think cold's not as dangerous as heat.
Oh, really?
Just because you can put clothes on, you can get in a bed, you can stay warm that way. But if it's too hot and there's no power,
you can't do a lot. Yeah.
I know you can get in your bath, I guess. That would keep you cool. Assuming you had water in it.
Yes. Other things that you mentioned stocking up on, you got a stock of kitchen paper and
we haven't got a lot of food though, which is perhaps concerning. We might have to get some more.
I bought an extra bag of rice the other day. We've got tin food. We get the little, they're like boxes, like milk boxes of kidney beans and chickpeas. They seem to last for years. And I've also got
you need to cook them though, right?
No, they're in liquid and you can eat them as is.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, with the kidney beans, we'll drain them off, mix them with fresh tomatoes and make a sort of salsa thing. I've also got some canned bread. I've never opened it and tried eating it, but
Oh,
it's that stuff you can get specifically for disasters. It lasts for 4 or 5 years or something. How good it is, I have no idea, but
you
it's
should
there
try
if
one.
we get desperate. Yeah, I'll do it live.
Try one now before you buy more, right? Like,
Oh yeah. They had a fancy name. I can't remember what the name was now, but it was some kind of clever pun on bread or pan or something. Can pan or something like that.
yeah.
What else do we have? Oh, your tip: if you have a car, this is a good one. Simple,
Yeah,
but
so never let the car get under half in terms of fuel, whether it's electric or make sure it's always at least half full. Because the first thing that happens when there's a big earthquake is everyone tries to fill their cars with fuel. And then the power goes off, so none of the petrol stations work anyway. So yeah, we had people breaking into the destroyed cars to siphon out the petrol in
really?
all the tsunami wrecks, basically. So
Oh,
they'd
right.
like go in and try and get the petrol out because there's no petrol at all.
Yeah.
So if
For
you've got petrol, you've got options. And for me, actually, the biggest hack is just to leave the area if you can. So if your area has, no power, no food, no stuff, and you can go somewhere else that does have those things, then life's much more pleasant, and you're also freeing up resources for everyone who can't get away. So I think it's a kind of a win-win.
Yeah.
And that's definitely my first move. If there was a substantial disaster here, I would try and take the family somewhere else, basically.
What, immediately, or do you wait and sort of see how it goes for a little while?
The sooner you leave, the less crowded the roads are going to be.
Yeah.
Although I think if you leave too soon, it might be dangerous because you don't know what. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of
Yeah.
11. We left the next day. So
yeah,
and that worked fairly well.
What were the roads like? Was it very busy? People leaving?
Oh, deserted, but destroyed. So the cracks and holes and things, and no street lights, no traffic lights at all. So it's fairly dangerous.
Traffic lights.
Yeah, no traffic lights. So everyone was very courteous. You'd approach intersections and see what was going on. And
so don't go on small roads where the road could be like out of service because of a tree come down or something like that.
Or bridges, like bridges and things. Like avoid bridges because they might be cracked in the middle and stuff like that.
Of course, yeah, I thought about that. Wow.
I almost thought about getting like a sports motorbike or something, a cross one, so you can go like just in case.
Bye, grandkids.
Kind of Hollywood style, like
yeah,
probably a bit of overkill, really.
Possibly. For our American friends, by the way, when we say petrol, we mean gas that you put in the car.
Indeed. And then the other one's having some cash at home. So we always talk about emergency funds in the bank and having enough money to deal with emergencies. But in an earthquake, cash is king. You can't use PayPay or whatever.
Yeah.
Credit cards don't work. So you need cash, and so you need cash in small denominations because no one's going to have change and stuff. And stuff sells out really quickly. So if you find somewhere that's open and has things you might need, then you're going to want a bunch of 1,000 yen notes to buy them with.
Yeah.
And the last one, I think, is pretty good. So
yeah, you could do this right now. Make an emergency contact list with the phone numbers of those that you might need to contact. And obviously it's on your phone, but I sometimes let my phone go pretty low on the battery. And if there's some disaster and then a couple of hours later, my phone's dead, that's not going to be very useful. So list. And then not many public phone boxes around, but you can, in an emergency, you can borrow somebody else's phone if you need to contact somebody.
They don't work.
Oh, the phones? Oh, of course, right, yeah. So maybe you get maybe you get something. But anyway, it doesn't hurt to have an emergency list just for some reason. With your own phone number on as well, because I don't know about you, but okay, tell us your phone number. Oh, wait a minute, I just got to find out what it is.
Right. The other thing, actually, that we didn't mention is that your fridge is going to not work, right, after a while. So depending on the season, the stuff in the fridge is not going to keep either, unless you've got a big battery like some people.
Yeah. That'll power the fridge and nothing else. I worked it out. It's like fridge and that's it.
Most important thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hello,
So yeah,
hello.
basically preparation. Think about what you're going to do. That's really important. If you've got family, make sure everyone's on the same page as to where you're going to meet, because you're not going to be able to communicate necessarily. So you're not going to be like calling people and say, "Hey, meet us wherever." You got to do that in advance. Figure out where the local emergency shelter is in case your home is dangerously damaged and you have to leave it. And yeah, just think it through, talk it through, and just be ready. I don't think it's necessary to, like, change your life because of this, but it could make a big difference to just think about it a little bit.
Yes. One thing I did do with the big March 11th one is, as soon as it happens, like it's a big one, okay, this is going to be on the news later internationally. And of course, for us foreigners living here, any family outside of the country are going to see it on the news. They won't be able to contact us. It's going to be a bit of a nightmare. And so at that point, the first thing I did was get on the internet and send an email. And it was really, really slow, but I kept trying, and then I managed to get a message through. Whilst I was up on the 9th floor. We got down to the outside. I stood there sending the email, and then it was then too blocked up to send anything. So if you can get a message to people outside the country as soon as you can, it's a good idea, because it could be a while.
Yeah. And they're going to freak out, because every time there's an earthquake, people are like, "Hey, you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was in Kyushu." Like, I'm not
right. Or China. Yeah. I'm just going to run through that list again, because I think that's pretty useful. So I think out of the whole list, we've spent probably about 2,000 yen or something. So really on a budget, stuff you could do super quickly right now or tomorrow at the supermarket, preparing for a disaster. Fill the bath. Not right now. Well, you can do it now if you want and have a nice relax. But after a disaster, fill the bath with water. At the supermarket, you can buy paper plates and cups, have cling film on hand, disposable wipes, spare cans of gas for a little gas stove.
Bin bags. Having lots of bin bags.
Oh, I
very
didn't think
useful
of that.
bin bags.
Yes, good one. Rubbish bags, or trash bags. And then toilet rolls. They always run out, don't they? And tin food, bags of rice is the basics. Although I did think that with rice, that requires a lot of water to cook, doesn't it? So and heat. So maybe rice is not such a good idea, unless it's that pre-prepared stuff. Non-supermarket stuff is keeping the car half filled with petrol or with gas. Have some cash at home, ideally in small denominations, small notes, and then make an emergency contact list. And we had a good suggestion from Chimi on YouTube comments. Thank you. Hello. They said, if you can, get the emergency contact list waterproof by laminating it or put it in a Ziploc bag or something.
Yeah.
Should we cover a couple of other comments then from?
Let's hit the comments before we move on. Definitely.
So David Bowman, hello. He said, "Are we going to be holding on to any of the old 1,000 yen notes?" No. I don't really mind. I suppose if it's like a secret stash at home in the event of a disaster, and then you don't use it until, say, 5 years' time, maybe newer notes is better.
Oh, but the new notes don't work in anything, so.
There you go. Mixture. Have a mixture.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
I haven't seen any new notes.
Oh, really?
Not a single one.
I've seen a few. I like them. The numbers are nice and big, easy to see.
I don't really use cash though, so that might be why. But I haven't seen any new notes, so it's a moot point for me at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Jimmy says it must have been scary on the 9th floor with the earthquake. Yes, it was very scary. But having said that, it must have been scary being in Sendai next to the sea during a tsunami. So
we didn't know about the tsunami until the next day. So, and we're only a kilometer away. I mean, it came really close. It actually hit the building I'm living in now, like when it was like 5 centimeters high. It reached that far.
Wow.
But weird stuff. So the lack of information is another thing. Like,
Mm.
Because people in Europe were watching it live on TV, and we had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, I felt sorry for people who didn't have access to non-Japanese news at that time, because the difference between what the mainstream media here was saying and what was on BBC or whatever was quite striking. F Marinos, sí, from afar. This on YouTube. My wife managed to get one email out to me in Australia from her office in Shinagawa. It definitely eased the nerves somewhat. Yeah, I think communication is so important if you can manage to get something out quickly.
I'm alive at this point, after the earthquake.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, and now here's a good one. Jimmy again says, we carry honey, good for wounds and nutritious. Yes. Now, I think my wife says that honey doesn't go off. I'm not sure. Maybe it does eventually.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Really? Wow. But
yeah, we've got
I've
quite a
heard
lot
that.
of honey, actually. My wife's a bit of a honey freak, so we
Oh,
have
right.
lots of honey at home.
Yeah, and I've heard that it's, I don't know if it's antiseptic, but it's certainly good for like cut or something. Okay,
Yeah,
look
you
it
have
up on
to
the
heat
internet.
it
I'm not an
up.
expert,
So
but
if you watch,
good for wounds and nutritious.
yeah, so there's
Oh, you.
what's that film? Let me remember the name. And
Okay, while you're thinking, I'm going to complain about how expensive honey is. It's crazy, really gone up a lot recently.
Try and get Manuka honey from New Zealand, and yeah. The Equalizer, right? If you watch The Equalizer 1, he gets shot or cut or something, and he goes to his apartment, he boils up some honey and pours it on the wound to sterilize it.
Wow. Okay, we'll put that on my to-do list. Research different ways that honey is useful. Okay. Oh, another good tip, actually. Well, Chippy's on a roll today. They say they keep lanterns by the bed and shoes just in case things fall or there's no electricity in the case of an earthquake or whatever during the night, middle of the night. Good idea.
I've got some torches, actually. I bought some flashlights. So we've got one. We've got one in a couple of rooms. I've got one in the car. I've got one in my backpack.
Yeah,
and they're rechargeable now. So no more batteries, right? You just plug them into a USB-C and charge them up.
Mm-hmm. But it is good to have batteries just in case you have stuff in the house that requires them.
Yes.
All right. Have we done that topic?
Yeah, I think so.
I think we've helped everybody. Yeah. Right then. What are we going to do? Oh, okay. So news and other topics. Got a bunch of stuff here. Mostly finance related, I think, here. Right then. The first one here then is Daniel forgot to consider the spread. An unusual title for a topic. But I got some... which one was it now? I got... Actually, no, I won't share it, just, to avoid me being criticized for, I don't know, influencing people or whatever. But I got some funds in my SBI account. I usually go for individual Japanese stocks, but I figured I should probably have some more sort of general outside Japan stuff for better diversity. And I got emerging market bonds, I got emerging market stocks, I got developed world stocks, and I got real estate. And I looked at the past prices, and they all seem relatively not too correlated with each other. So the idea is I keep each of them roughly topped up at the same amount. Some of them will go up, some of them will go down, hopefully not at the same time. And overall, they should go up. And I looked for funds that are very low cost, that have a good yield, because I like getting dividends from them. And I was very happy with my choices. And then I went to top up the other day. And when I was doing it, I just noticed the difference between the buy price and the sell price. And it's about 1%. And normally on the popular shares, it's going to be 0.1%. I couldn't believe it. So basically, if I buy and then sell, I'm wasting 1% of that investment because of that, what's called the spread, the difference between the buy price and the sell price. And I know this stuff, and I just didn't consider it at all when I was choosing the funds. So the message, the lesson to be learned is consider the costs. They should be low cost if you're buying a fund. Consider yield if you're interested in yield dividends, but also how much are they traded. If they're very frequently traded, they've got like a very high daily turnover, then the spread is probably going to be much lower than if they're not very liquid fund.
On the plus side, though, it's not a huge deal because you're not buying and selling them, right? You're going to hold them for the long term. So,
Yes.
if you were trading where you were like buying and selling them multiple times over the day, that's going to kill you. But if you buy them and then you sell them in 30 years' time, okay,
Yeah.
it's not a big
Yeah.
deal.
Good point. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So don't make it your prime.
Brave
factor,
man,
but it
though,
is
buying
definitely-
emerging market bonds.
Yeah, I looked at the history of it, and that's the one fund that I've actually owned for a while. I bought these other ones just to diversify a bit. Had it for several years, and yeah, the price barely changes. I mean, it goes up and down, but overall, it stays within this narrow band. But I get a decent yield on it, and yeah, it doesn't seem connected to what happens with the stock market. So yeah, it's good to me. It works for me. It may not work for you. Do your own research. This is not financial advice.
Absolutely, yes.
Blah blah blah. Right. What else did we have then? I had. Oh yeah, I think you pointed this out. From March next year, 2025. Currently in Japan, if you want to buy shares, at least, well, there are some accounts like proxy accounts where you can get less than, get very small fractions of shares, I think. But generally, if you're going through a regular SBI, Rakuten, or whatever broker, you have to buy at least 100 shares of any particular company. And if the share price is, let's say, Ichimayen 10,000 yen, that means the minimum investment you're making into that is, oh, hang on, if the share price is 10,000,
it's a
the
million.
minimum is going to be, a million. So 100 万yen.
Now, you can
Which is a
buy single shares now. Most of the brokers have this service. It's called One Kabu or something similar. The problem, though, is that you can't do it in real time. Because the way that works is that the brokers consolidate all those single orders and they buy the 100 shares and then they give you one each or whatever. So you can only do it a few times a day, and the costs are slightly higher and it's just a bit of a hassle. Also, if you do that, you don't get the shareholder benefits.
Yes, because you're not actually an owner.
You get dividends either, but I'm guessing I'm not sure, actually. You may or may not get dividends. Yeah. But if they get rid of the 100 minimum share lot, then all those problems will go away and you'll be able to buy one share, just like you can with American stocks.
And you're still an owner.
Yeah, so I think that's good news. It's going to open up the stock market a bit more to the small investor.
Yeah, I like it a lot. That's a very good idea.
Although most people should probably just buy mutual funds or ETFs, just get the index funds. Don't think about it too much. But if you like, choosing stocks and thinking about your investments, then do that with a little bit of your money. This is going to make that easier.
Yeah, actually, yes, it enables you to experiment or play around with a bit less money, doesn't it? So in a way, it could reduce your risk.
Yeah, positive change if it happens. I think it's going to happen. But
yes, yeah. The next one is, I suppose, maybe not really finance related, but Mercari. I like Mercari it's the online buying and selling marketplace thing. From what I understand, they're going to require proper identification from the 2nd of September. So what's that? Is that Monday or Sunday or something like that?
That's next Monday.
Yeah. So at the moment, I have a Mercari account. I don't need to upload my photo or ID or anything, and I'm able to buy things. But you will have to upload your driving license or whatever, I think, from Monday.
Even to
not
buy?
Happy with that.
That's interesting.
I think so. From what I understand, it's all account holders. That's going to be the requirement.
Wow. I guess they've had a lot of issues with people messing around.
I guess so, yeah. or unless it's pressure from the government that they want to know who. I don't know. Who knows? But it looks like that's going to be a thing.
I've never used Mercari.
No, it's good. It's good. I use it for buying rather than selling. For selling stuff, I found that people then come back and say, "Oh, can I have a discount?" And I don't like getting into that. But for buying stuff, no, I find it good. And what I do like about it is, I like Yahoo auctions a lot for selling, but most of the time for buying, you then got to add on the postage, and then when you end up paying, you think, "Oh, that's actually more than I had sort of calculated in my head." But with Mercari, nearly everything the shipping is included,
Okay.
which is really, I like that a lot. Yeah. Very good thing.
Mm.
This next one, I can't find the photo that I was going to refer to for it, so we might have to skip that one, I'm afraid.
No, I was looking forward
Yeah,
to
I
this.
know. Sorry. I'll do a teaser for it. What it was? It was there's a TV program on it's TBS, I think it is. Was in it number 7 on our remote called World Business Satellite, or WBS for short. It is a sort of business news program, but I like it because it's not really heavy and monotonous. But equally, it's not, let's get some celebrities in a room and have lots of emoji and silly characters around. It's a nice sort of balance of interesting and yeah, it's interesting. That's on at 10 p.m. usually, I think, on a weekday. And I highly recommend it. It's interesting because it has a little bit of general news as well as business news. And they talked about the top 5 shares in NISAs in Japan, the 5 most popular shares that people have been buying in their NISAs. This is individual ones rather than funds. And I took a photo of it when it was on TV. Thought, oh, that's a good one to get Ben to guess. And I can't find the photo.
Oh no!
I'm so
And this is
sorry.
individual companies rather than mutual funds, because that's normally what you see. If they do rankings of things, it's normally mutual funds.
Yeah. No,
So I thought the company one sounds really interesting.
It is a company one. Yeah, individual company one. Oh no, why can't I find it? I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to find that another day.
Can I guess anyway?
Yeah, sure, if you want to. I can only remember. I remember. Actually, it was ETFs as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or was it now? Oh, I'm sorry. No, I can't remember. No, I think it was individual ones. Yeah. We'll have to wait. I'll go back and I'll find it.
Stay tuned. We might have it in the next episode.
There you go. Season 3. Yeah.
Yeah, because this is the last Retire Japan TV for this season. So how we've done this so far, and I quite like the format, is we do 10 episodes. This is episode number 10 for season 2, and then we're going to take a break for 2 months. We'll come back in November for season 3. So if you enjoy Retire Japan TV, I'm sorry you're not going to have it for a while after tonight.
But pretty good though, isn't it? We've kept it going. I'm really, really proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, most podcasts just do 1 or 2 episodes and then stop. But we're going strong. I'm excited about season 3. So good.
Yeah, me too.
We'll be able to talk about the top 5 individual shares in NISA accounts, for example.
Yes, that'd be top of the list. Top of the list. Cool. Right. Well, we have some other news, and this is a kind of good news. Japan's real wages. Now, real wages means the wages have gone up higher than the rate of inflation, which is a very good thing. Japan's real wages had their first rise in 27 months, apparently. This is reported on the 6th of August, thanks to a summer bonus, or a higher than usual summer bonus. And so there was a thing earlier in the year where the unions were able to get a over 5% increase from the big hiring companies, the big companies in Japan. That only affected about, I think it was 12% of the workforce, but it did filter down to medium and small companies somewhat. And I think their average worked out at just over 3% or something wage increase this year. So overall, so nominal wages grew 4.5% for the 30th consecutive month. But yeah, for the first time in 27 months, that was higher than the rate of inflation. Let me put that news story in the chat there.
With the caveat that that's mainly just the big companies, isn't it? So smaller companies, probably less. Part-time workers, almost certainly less. So
yes,
got a long way to go.
Yeah. We are getting some questions in the chat, by the way, and we'll at the end of each section, we'll then sort of go back and answer the questions all together. So we haven't forgotten you. Other news things is whilst you were away, you missed all the fun with our little sort of.
It was on the news in the UK, so it was a big deal.
Okay,
Japan stocks, and they were explaining the yen carry trade and stuff on the news.
Oh, right, yeah. So we had a crash. It was over 2 days, wasn't it? This crash or mini crash, whatever you call it. and that was a shock. Oh, and that was a Thursday and Friday, I think. So over the
Oh, you had
weekend,
the
there was,
weekend to think about it.
yes, 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 and it annoyed me in two ways. If you just let me vent a bit, the first one is, on reflection, it turns out that the main cause was very likely to be the Bank of Japan suddenly announcing that they were going to, I've forgotten now, was it increase or decrease rates? I've forgotten what it was, but one of the two. But anyway, an interest rate change that came out of the blue, which is the one thing that central banks should not do, is surprise. The Fed at the moment, whether you disagree with them or not, they're actually good at announcing in advance what they're going to do in a very sort of subtle way. And I thought Japanese were good at this. Like, at some point in the future, we might consider doing this thing. And then as it gets closer, yes, we're close to considering this thing. And the next one, we've decided in a meeting that we're definitely going to consider this thing very, very strongly or whatever. So it's gradually coming up. And they didn't. And consequently, it freaked the market out and the market crashed for a couple of days, and then on the Monday it sprung back up, and I think it was still down a little bit overall, but basically it was a blip that was pretty unnecessary, I think. Then the second thing that annoyed me is on that Thursday or Friday, when it had dropped a lot on the TV, they were interviewing people in the news programs. Oh, what do you think about the crash? What are you going to do? And it's inciting fear, because for ordinary people like you and me who have got a NISA, we'll explain what that is later, Jimmy, don't worry, who've got NISA, who've got IDICO, who've got a little bit of stuff that they put in an investment account and they're not selling anytime soon. It doesn't matter if it crashes on a Friday and goes up on a Monday or whatever. It looks bad at the time, but in the long term, it's nothing to be concerned about. And yet they're deliberately trying to get people's reaction to it, to make them think about it, to show that, this is something to worry about. Sorry, get off my chest. If you're not day trading, it doesn't matter. Don't ask people in the street about it. Just move on.
Especially people in the street in Japan, where they're going to be like, "Oh, the stock market, it's very scary."
Yeah. And they had one guy who said, "Well, it's going to go back up again, so it doesn't really matter," which I was good to see. But normally, I thought they would, they'd maybe cut him out, but I'm glad they included him. Yes, correct. Anyway.
Respect.
So now looking back on it, at the time it was, what's happening? And now it's like, did that happen? Yeah, I've forgotten about that.
Exactly, which is almost always the case with stock market movements, as long as you don't sell your stuff. So
yes. And so actually it does relate to personal finance in another way, because at the time I did think, okay, there's a stock I had my eye on. It's like, this is a good opportunity to get it, because I think it's a good value company anyway. And I had a bit of money, cash available, so I got that. But I was really regretting not having a bigger emergency fund that I could have just dipped into. And this is one of the things you say. One of the first things you do is build up an emergency fund of 3 months or whatever for emergencies. Now it could be staying in a hotel after a disaster, or it could be you see a good opportunity and it's good to have some cash around.
Every time there's a crash, I don't have money that I can use to buy things, and it's really annoying.
yeah
So
I'm resolved to build up more of an emergency fund now.
Warren Buffett, like a third of his money's in cash now. He's got like 270 billion in cash. He's like waiting, right?
Wow.
So, and that's his modus operandi. Every time there's a serious crash, he just buys everything, and then he just sits there until
the next one.
But exactly.
Seems to be working for him. We have another news item here. This is something I didn't know about, but you say it's not a new thing apparently, but it's called pair loans. There's a thing called pair loans, like mortgage loans, that are designed for couples, because in Japan you can't have a joint bank account. So I thought this would be the same thing, but no, you can have a mortgage where two people share it to buy a apartment, house, or whatever.
Yeah, because you can't share an asset. So each person has to own assets. So what happens is each person owns a percentage of the house or the home, and therefore they have a proportional loan that's their responsibility for it.
It's a really good idea. Anyway, the
And
news
so it's
is
not
apparently
new, but I guess it's becoming more popular because home prices in Tokyo are getting really high now compared to salaries. So people are having to take out these loans, whereas before they probably could have got away with just one person's salary being enough.
Yes, apparently, according to the news article, in Tokyo, the pair loans apparently account for almost 34% of contracts for new condominiums in Tokyo.
The average
In
price of a
America.
new condominium's like, quite a lot, isn't it?
I guess so. Yeah,
100,
don't even look.
120 million or something.
Yeah. The two I bought this year. Yeah, I don't have a condominium, by the way. Yeah,
Let's have a quick
that's
check.
not.
Actually, I'm curious as to what that is. Let's see. Yeah, so it's over 100 million in 2023 in the 23 awards for a new mansion is the average. So
Wow.
I think
Yeah,
Japan
probably
allows you to borrow 6 or 7 times your salary, but
Mm.
if it's over 100 million yen, then
You need a big salary. So yeah, it's good to split that with somebody if you can. Yeah.
yeah, good point from
Daniel.
Daniel in the comments. So basically, for the mortgage tax credit, if your salary is high enough, you don't qualify for it, but your spouse might. So if they're working as well, it might make sense to structure the loan that way, so that they can get that tax credit. Basically,
Yeah,
makes sense.
Good point. Right, what else do we have in the news and stuff? Oh yes, I don't have a link for this, but on that the WBS World Business Satellite TV program, they talked about this new market for rice futures that started up here. I think it was Dojima Kome Heikin. So the Dojima, instead of the Nikkei average, it's the rice average. And I think it's only they showed it on TV in this like sort of small office thing. It's only a small scale thing, but it enables investors outside of Japan to buy and sell rice futures. So not the rice itself, but a contract for rice at some point in the future. Just like it exists with other commodities. And I'm just raising it here. I don't think it's something that people necessarily will be interested. I'm certainly not interested as an investment vehicle, but it made me think, like, is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? Because on the one hand, if you're a rice farmer or any kind of farmer, it's sometimes good to be able to sell your rice or whatever at a fixed price if you're unsure about the weather in the next season or what the price of that is going to be. Like if the price crashes and you've got a field full of it, you're not going to do very well. But if you could sell it in advance for a sort of a fixed fee that you're happy with, that's a good use of a rice future. But then on the other hand, if there's rice futures, that means trading, buying and selling it just for profit, people who are unconnected with the industry. And that can lead to bubbles or crashes. And then that would impact the price for everyday consumers, making it out of reach or making them disappear off the shelves or whatever. So, yeah, I can't make my mind up. A rice futures market, is that good or bad? Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, it's a thing.
I don't know enough about it to comment. Yeah, it's supposed to make things more predictable, isn't it? For the people that buy rice and the people that sell it. So
yeah,
presumably it's beneficial. And I guess it's just a sign that the market's important enough now for people to maybe this recent rice shortage due to the large numbers of foreign tourists.
Yeah.
I was watching TV and they were talking about it, and one reason was the increase in foreign visitors, apparently. So the foreigners ate all the rice, basically.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. Okay. So that's that. But I don't think it's going to affect ordinary individual investors. So if you're not interested, then don't worry about it. And the final thing, which I think you uncovered, is a proposal, not decided yet, but a proposal for the IDECO. That's the sort of the personal pension you can get with the very good sort of tax benefits. The upper limit of how much you can put into that is possibly going to be raised. There's a proposal to raise it, which would be a good thing.
That would be fantastic. Yes. So yeah, I think it's the finance ministry has proposed it, and then the government has to decide whether they're going to approve that or not. But, no one really saw the NISA changes that we had this year coming. And they basically tripled the NISA allowance and made it unlimited, which is incredibly, it's going to make an enormous difference to everyone, right? Having that tax-free forever, effectively, means that, NISA goes from, I mean, it was nice before, but it wasn't going to make more than, 5 or 6 million yen's difference to you. Whereas now, if you invest in your NISA early and you let it compound for decades, you could end up with 60 to 100 million yen completely tax-free. It's huge. So if they did something similar to iDeCo, I think that would be wonderful.
Yes, yeah. I only have a link to that in Japanese, but I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a proposal, so there hasn't been a reaction to it, I don't think. So wait and see. Yeah, fingers crossed and wait and see.
Yeah, can we remind, Daniel's asking, can we remind people what the limits are at the moment? I thought it was only 2. It was, if you're a salary man or like a fully employed person, it's 23,000. And then I thought the second version is if you're independent working as a contractor or self-employed, and that is 67,000. But there's more. 68. Oh, I beg your pardon. 68.
If you're paying Fukanenki, that uses up 1,000 of it.
Right.
Government employees or people in Kyosai, so like teachers and doctors and things, currently is 12,000 a month, which is pathetic. I used to have that. That was my limit when I was working in university. Thankfully, that's going up in December this year, so it's going to go up to 20, I believe. It's also 20 if you have certain types of company pensions. Where you can pay in up to 20,000 into iDeCo as well as your company pension. And yeah, people who pay Kokumin Nenkin, so basically they're not really going to get a pension in retirement. They're allowed to put in up to 68 million to make up for that. But yeah, I'd like to see everyone get double the current allowance. That would be great.
Yeah, I didn't realize there were that many variants of it. Be nice if they bumped it up and then simplified it rather than having the different.
Well, I mean, you can see the reasoning, right? Like if you're gonna get Kousei Nenkin, your Nenkin's likely to be 200,000 yen a month or more, and if you're paying Kokumin Nenkin, your Nenkin cannot be more than 65,000 yen a month.
Right. Okay,
so obviously, they need a bigger limit to incentivize them to save and invest, to make up for not having a pension. So I can see why there's a difference. I just think they're all too small.
Yeah. And when you say 20,000, you mean 20,000 yen. It's not $20,000.
Woohoo! Yeah, no, not yet.
Those are all the sort of the news and talking points I had. So should we go back and look at some of the questions?
Let's hit some questions. So I think the first one's what's a NISA account, right?
Yeah. What is a NISA account? Which is a very good question because we talk about it a lot and sometimes we forget to remind people.
Yeah, so NISA account is basically a type of investment account that's tax-free. So you can invest in a NISA account, and then when you sell your investments later, you don't have to pay any tax on them. And the government made that basically to encourage people to invest their money rather than keeping it in the bank or in the closet or whatever. And it's great. So we've got a few videos about it. There's a page on the website about it. Check them out if you're interested. But I think everyone in Japan who's going to invest might as well invest in NISA first because it's tax-free. And then once you've filled your NISA, you can think about investing in other places. Unless you're American, because Americans have issues.
In terms of tax laws in Japan, so the NISA is one half, isn't it, of sort of the foundation that we often talk about, NISA and iDeCo. iDeCo is a pension. You can't touch it until at least 60, I think, at the moment. And NISA is kind of, it's not related, but it's the sort of second thing that we recommend as a really good sort of foundation for personal finance in Japan. Right. How often do we live stream? More or less once a month when it's
10 times a year.
our season. Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, once a month, normally towards the end of the month, third Monday or whatever. It's always a Monday. It's always 8 o'clock. Yeah. If you're on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel, and then you'll get the notifications. So hit the bell, all that stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, just to remind people, we are taking a break after this one till, is it November? I think we'll start again?
November. Yeah.
Good. Do we have any more? I think that we did all the questions
that's
after that.
Yep,
wasn't it?
that's it.
Good.
Excellent. So yeah,
right.
it's all right. Do your little thing.
Oh, I know what the next section is. Yeah. So 1 second, please, everybody. Here we go. Yes, it's Daniel's money tip time. Oh, brilliant. Oh, where's the penny? Right. So I have, first of all, I have a quick bonus tip. Get this one out of the way first because it's nice and easy. If you have an air conditioner in your home, you probably have two pipes, the tube things going outside into the big outside box thing. This is all technical jargon, by the way. And then you have a smaller tube pipe thing that just drips water out of it. I'm not an expert on air conditioning, but the thing that drips water out is important because if somehow that gets blocked, then your air conditioner will fill up with water and you'll drip. And the reason I know is because we had dripping on ours, and it turns out that is the most common cause. It's not the only cause, but it's the most common cause of air conditioners dripping, and then you're having to get the people out to come and fix it for you. Actually, no, the most common cause is that water hose getting blocked. And the most common way that it gets blocked, because it's pointing downwards, so things don't generally fall into it gravity-wise. But a little insect called a kanabun in Japan loves to find little hiding places. And that tube that comes down and is hanging around outside your building, they like to go up there and they climb up the pipe, and then they find the little sort of entrance hole that goes into the air conditioner, and they can't fit through. They get stuck, and then they die, and then they block the hole. And the water that goes out, maybe it dribbles past, but it generally just like fills up inside your air conditioner until it eventually overflows onto your floor. That then, costs money to get it fixed and stuff. You can save money by buying one of these, and it's just, Amazon or the DIY store or whatever. It's a little air conditioner hose clip. It's made for this purpose. It's got a picture of the Kanabun on the packet. Why don't they come with this? It costs about 100 yen or 200 yen. You don't need any tools to fit it. Make sure
I know why.
Yes. Mr.
Well,
Cynic.
obviously the people that install air conditioners also repair air conditioners.
Yeah.
And I can't think of an easier job than coming out, getting the full, call out fee, unscrewing the hose, shaking out the dead beetle, and putting the hose back.
Yeah. Very annoying. Anyway, so beat them at their own game.
What's it called?
Kappu.
Where did you?
Kappu. This is what it's called. Maybe it's an aircon.
Awesome. I'll just search for that then. Where did you get it from?
I think this was from Conan, my local DIY shop. But I've seen them on. You had to buy. It's so cheap, you can't even buy one. You have to buy it in a pack of two. And there we go. If you look for aircon Kappu on the internet,
really?
You get a bunch of very similar things. It's a thing. People do it. It's like, it's nothing like weird or unusual. It's just they don't do it when they fit the air conditioning. And I know this because we had a new one a couple of months ago, and I thought, times have moved on. Surely they're fitting it in 2024. They're going to put one of these on the end. No, they didn't. The hose on our new one was actually at a diagonal, so you need to get a knife, X-Acto knife or something like that, just to cut it off at a proper square angle, degree angle. And then the hose coming out is it's like ribbed, and this just sort of clips onto those, and that's it. It takes 2 seconds, and you can save yourself a lot of money.
Wow, there's loads.
But that's not. Yeah, it is a thing, and I never knew. They keep it. They are keeping it secret from you. So,
yes, the Matrix is conspiring to hide it from you. Yes.
So anyway, so that's my bonus. That's not the real tip. So the real tip is this thing that I found. Again, this is mentioned on WBS, World Business Satellite TV program, and it used to be called Kushitsu something, Kushitsu agent or something like that, for finding. It's an alert system basically for hotel rooms and stuff that are full up, and something becomes available, it will send you an alert. But they've shifted slightly and changed the name, and it's called Yado Mikke. I'll put a link to that in the comments. Yado is the character from Shukuhaku. I can never remember if it's the Shuku or the Haku part, but anyway, Yado, the kanji, and then Mikke in hiragana. It's run by Big Globe, so proper company. It's not some little startup or something. And what they do is they basically try and get you discounts on accommodation. There are two parts to it. The one part is if you haven't booked yet, you can fill in a form. I'm looking for this accommodation in this place on these dates, and it will send you alert if it finds something cheap. But the other one I found really interesting. If you've already booked somewhere, then you can forward them your reservation email, and they'll sort of keep an eye on it and let you know if they found something cheaper, like the same plan, the same hotel, but a discount through one of their partners or through a promotion or something like that. It looked really cool.
The hotel just lowers the price later, which does happen.
Right, yeah, to get close to what they got, rooms opening up or whatever. And the way it works, normally you need to have an app or something like this. No, this is old school. You just, in fact, they even put the email on the web page, without even signing up, forward it to this email. The only slight restriction is that, what is it? At the moment, they only accept, here we go. Rakuten Travel, Jaran, JTB, Rurubu Travel, Kinki Nihon Tourist, Nihon Ryoko, Yuko, never heard of that, Ikkyu.com, OZ Mall or OZ Mall, and Yahoo Travel. So at the moment, those travel companies are sort of automatically accepted in the system. If you book something from a different company, then you need to go to their form and fill in the details of where you're going to stay, do it all manually, basically. But if you book something through those, one of those travel companies I mentioned, book it, forward the email to this company, and then if you don't get anything, you haven't lost out because you've still got your booking. But you might just get an email, and they say when it works, you can get on average 20% cheaper prices. Caveat, I haven't tried it myself, so I don't know for sure. I would like to, and if I do, I'll let you know. The other thing is, you're forwarding your booking email, so you have to be comfortable forwarding your personal details to this company. But there you go.
I only ever book direct with the hotel anyway, so.
I see. Right, yeah.
I find that, often if you go through a travel service, you have to pay in advance and all that kind of stuff. Whereas usually with a hotel, they're just just pay when you come. And I find that gives you more flexibility.
Yeah.
You can sometimes get a discount too, because they don't have to pay the commission to the website.
Yeah. Oh, now you mentioned it, when we had our little trip to Ibaraki last week, we booked that directly with the hotel because they had the plan, special offer thing, campaign thing for you pay an extra 6,000 yen and get 30,000 yen of vouchers to spend in the hotel, which was great. We had a very nice meal in the restaurant. But yeah, that kind of thing you would only get if you booked directly at the hotel, I think.
So even if you find it online, then going to find the hotel later or even calling them, you can often get a better deal, or at least a more flexible deal.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anyway, interesting service. I've not seen that before. Maybe it'll be expanded to other things like flights or restaurant bookings or something. Well, I don't know. Anyway, interesting. If you give it a try,
Trivago does that, doesn't it? Trivago.
Oh yeah, really?
I think. Oh yeah. I mean, that's a similar thing where they, or maybe they just find you.
I think
cheap hotel rooms.
Yes, I think that's more of a comparison.
Yeah. So it's
because normally I'll spend a long time actually, comparing things. And by the time I've compared, it's
really really.
Yeah, it's surprising, isn't it? Yeah, but this one, no, you've booked it. It's already in the bag, and just in case a better deal comes up.
So you're going to spend ages researching it, and then you're finally going to book it, and then you're going to continue. Let it just sit in your head
Check.
forever.
Yeah, but it's email. I mean, you don't need to go to the website. Just wait for them to send an email if there's something. I like that sort of style. Okay, that's my money saving tip then.
Yay.
I think you have not a money saving tip, but you have another tip, don't you?
Yes, it's eccentric travel tip that my wife and I have been doing for a while now, and I mentioned it to Daniel earlier, and his reaction told me that not many people do this. So basically, if we're taking a trip semi-locally, so basically somewhere we're going to drive to, so we're in the car, we're taking the car somewhere, we find it much more convenient to take little supermarket baskets rather than proper suitcases and bags and things, because basically it takes about 30 seconds to pack. You just throw everything in the basket, and then you put the basket in your car, and then when you get to the hotel, you take the basket out of your car and take it to your room, and then everything's easily accessible in the basket. So for us, it's just a really easy way to do kind of 1 or 2 night trips in the car somewhere. Rather than having a suitcase, you just got a little shopping basket with all your stuff. And yeah, I find it works quite well. And no one said anything so far. No hotels have been like, sir, you perhaps missed the supermarket around the corner or something. Yeah, so that's my kind of travel tip. If you're driving, it's super convenient just to have your My Basket and just chuck all your stuff in there instead of having a bag.
When you first mentioned it, I thought you meant like a nice sort of trendy country wicker basket, pretty thing. But no, you actually
no, it's the Eon one. It's the pink plastic Eon basket.
Okay,
it's just easy.
It does sound practical. I think it sounds like it would work for me. I'd be more comfortable doing that if it were a self-catering, Airbnb kind of thing.
Oh, for that, for sure, yeah. But even hotels, I mean, no one cares. No one's looking at you, You're only the star of your own show.
Oh yeah, that's very true. Yeah. So there you go. Top travel tip.
Dun 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 dun. I need my own theme tune, like for season 3. I'm getting my own theme tune for season 3. I'm not having this.
It's important. Yeah. Oh, cool. Right then. What else do we have?
Right. Shall we do forum updates?
Oh, yes. We've got a couple of other questions we'll get to. I haven't forgotten about you, but yeah, forum updates.
Forum updates. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so on the forum this week or recently, I'm just going to run through a quick list of posts. So if you go to the Retire Japan forum, you can read everything without registering. Super easy. If you want to post, you have to register, but it's also pretty easy. So this week we've had posts about fixed income. So people asking about bond funds. Basically, they want to diversify. They don't want to just have stocks. So what else can they buy? So we had a couple of threads about that. Alternatives to junior NISA. So until the end of last year, kids could have a junior NISA account and parents could invest on their behalf and so on. But that finished. That finished in 2023. So now there isn't a junior NISA account. So what else can we do for our kids if we want to give them money and get them investing? So that's in that thread. There's a huge thread about asset allocation during retirement that I found really interesting, about how people were thinking about their investments and their portfolios and so on. So that's definitely worth a quick read. Quite a specific thread about getting a UK passport for a child born in Japan, the kind of paperwork, the embassy, all that kind of stuff. There was a thread about iDeCo changes from December, and that's where that story came from, that I posted to the Monday read about the proposal to increase iDeCo. So that was nice. But also, if you're a public servant, if your iDeCo allowance is currently 12,000 yen a month, that's going to be going up to 20,000 yen from December, which is really good news. We had a thread about writing a will for someone who has assets in the UK, but they live in Japan. So you don't need a will if you don't have UK assets. But it might be a good idea to have a UK will anyway, just for safety. But if you do have UK assets, then you do need a UK will. So more details in the thread. There's a thread about buying a mountain, which I thought was impressively ambitious.
Wow.
But apparently, it's quite easy to buy a mountain land, and there's even websites that make it easy for you to do so. So if you're interested in buying a mountain, that's where you should go and read up. And then the last one I found really outrageous, which was one of our long-term members posted a kind of disgruntled post about his experience with a hospital where he had an accident, he cut himself, and he went to the emergency room at the hospital, and they he got seen very quickly, and they were dealing with his thing. And as he was being stitched up, one of the reception staff, one of the admin staff from the hospital, came in and said, "We need your Zairyu card." And he was like, "What?" I'm getting stitches literally at this point. And she was like, "Where's your Zairyu card?" And he's like, "Well, it's in my wallet." And then she went into his wallet, took it, and took it off to get photocopied. And he wasn't very happy about this, understandably. I would have been livid. I'd have probably been arrested at that point. But he was wondering, why this happened and whether it happened to anyone else. And I think I know why it happened. So I posted that in the thread. But yeah, very interesting situation. One that I haven't encountered, but one that is possible, because a few years ago there was a lot of scaremongering about foreign visitors and foreign residents maybe abusing the healthcare system. It was a little bit, kind of right-wing kind of noise about that. It was discussed in the diet, and they made up new rules that said that hospitals, if they feel it's necessary, can check ID. And it's not necessary just for foreigners, it's for anyone where they think that maybe the person isn't using their own health card, because health cards don't have photos on. That's the issue, right? So anyone can just rock up with a health card and say, yeah, that's me. And I think it's far more common for Japanese people to do this than for foreign people necessarily. It's I've seen it in manga, I've seen it on TV dramas and stuff. It's obviously a thing that happens. But hospitals can ask for ID, and I'm guessing they're going to be asking foreigners more than they're going to be asking Japanese people. So they do have the option to ask for your Zairyu card. I posted a link to the official Q&A about this, where they say, please be sure to ensure that this doesn't come across as discrimination on the basis of nationality. This is the official guide. And also there's an interesting one that says, what happens if they don't give you the ID? It's like, please ask them and explain that it's important for them to show the ID. So there's not a lot of teeth in this. But yeah, so I thought that was an interesting story that I'm glad happened to me. You seen anything like that?
I haven't, no. A lot of these scares, a lot of these scare stories that I read about, being checked and stuff, touch wood, I just haven't had them. But maybe it's because I live outside in the suburbs, and I don't know what it is. I'm very fortunate, I guess. But yeah, I wouldn't be happy at all, and I would try and kick. I don't know how much I would resist, but I would definitely try and kick up a fuss. I'm not prepared to make it a big deal breaker and they kick me out of the hotel, out of the hospital, but still, I don't like that at all. With hotels, I'm prepared. It hasn't happened to me yet, but I would be prepared to say, no, you don't have to. I mean, then they can kick me out because it's their hotel, it's their property, they can do what they want. But
but they can't. They don't. The hotels have quite a strict. There's a hospitality law that applies to hotels, where they're not allowed to refuse service unless you have a transmittable disease or you commit a crime or something. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that. But yeah, so no one's asked me for a Zairyu card, but I would be prepared to say, okay, I'm not staying here if they force that on me.
I've been asked a few times.
Yeah. I think I'd be okay with them looking at it, but can I have a copy? No, you can't.
I'm not showing that to anyone that doesn't need it. So my recommendation, if that happens, generally it's going to be a front desk person that asks, and they don't set policy, so there is absolutely no point in arguing with them at all. So the thing I would recommend is to say, okay, can I talk to the manager? And then you talk to the manager. because the manager has trained the front people. And in my experience so far, I've done this a few times where you just say, you know, I'm a resident, I don't have to show ID. And they're like, oh, sorry about the thing. And I'm like, can you train your front desk staff better, please? Politely, you know, but still.
Yeah.
And that so far has worked every time. So I think having an argument with the front desk staff is not very constructive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I did. So I'm not a lawyer, but I did read up about that point, and from what I understood, it was they can't make it a legal requirement. So I think the law indicates that you may want to see it, but they can't enforce that. Pretty sure that's what it was.
I mean, the law is clear. If you're a visitor, you have to provide your passport. If you're a Japanese resident, you have to write down your address.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the thing. If you're a Japanese resident, you don't have to show ID. There's just And for a hospital, I'd be like, I think one reason I might not have seen that is because my health card is in kanji.
Oh, huh? Well, surely that makes it more suspicious then. Like, oh, it's a non-Japanese
Not so far.
looking person. Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Not so far.
Yeah. Jimmy says the hospitals ask for a Zairyu card and they always take a photo of it. Wow. So it's clearly like either a hospital thing or a regional thing. Wow.
I think the hospital gets the set policy on this from that Q&A.
Right.
So it's when they deem it necessary. So
yeah. Anyway, so is that all the updates for the
that is, I put the most interesting one for me at the end because I did find that very interesting and a little bit shocking. I guess I'm guessing what happened is that the initial person on reception was supposed to check and didn't, and therefore the second busy person that rushed in and grabbed it out of the wallet was following up or something and trying to fix the mistake or whatever. But I wouldn't be happy in that situation. I wouldn't have told that it's in my wallet either.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, but I mean, legally, it has to be on your person.
You don't expect people to go in your wallet, do you?
Yeah. No. So that's retirejapan.com/forum if you want to read up on all those.
It's a great place to hang out.
Yeah. Right. What else? Oh. So we have a Q&A at the end. And can I just jump in here?
Let's do a quick go through the comments. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure. What do we have? Foregone conclusion. Hello there. So we were talking about the IDECO and the personal pensions earlier. And you said, for Brits, check your pension to catch up on the last 10 years or so and then pay £150 a year or so to receive pension afterwards. As my UK long-term Japan resident mate told me yesterday, a long comment. So this is for UK residents. And we talked about this. In fact, you did a very good video, not part of the podcast, but you did a video for British people living in Japan about the pension system and what you might be entitled to if you pay a little bit extra, like voluntarily. And I can't remember only the details. But
it's on the YouTube channel. So UK state pension, search for that. RetireJapan UK state pension. It's in there. Best investment that I know of is to make voluntary payments into the UK state pension. So if you're British, if you've ever lived in the UK, if you've paid into the UK pension, not necessarily. I've never worked in the UK. But I was able to pay not class 2 but class 3 voluntary pension contributions, which is still worth it, even though they're a bit more expensive. So if any of those categories apply to you, if you have a national insurance number for the UK, whether you're British or not, you might be able to do this. And if you can do it, it's probably a good idea. So check out the video and also check out the forum. We've got hundreds of threads, I think, on this. It's a very popular topic.
I'm just going to find the link to that video because I found it very useful. Here we go. It's called The Best Investment for British Expats. Sorry everybody else, only for Brits, but there you go. Moving on to Americans now. And Jimmy says, we've talked about NISA earlier, and then you said, oh, it's difficult for Americans. Now, this is a long topic. We might not be able to go into it in depth. But
yeah, basically American tax law is really inconsiderate of people who don't live in America. And because of that, Americans find it difficult to invest in Japan. We got a page on the website about US citizens, so that's probably the best place to go to check out some of those issues.
Yeah. And the forum as well. I think it's got a lot on it as well. Again. Right. So I have a question.
Oh,
Our adult son, who had just been back from university, he's now gone back again. But anyway, we do this stuff with the family. And then what was it the other day? It was something. Oh, now let's do this. Why are we doing that? It's because, my wife wants this or something. So, it's going to cost so much money, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I'm never going to get married. It's so expensive. And financially, I don't know. I didn't know how to react, because in some ways, yes, it is. You got extra costs because you might be doing things that you wouldn't necessarily do if you were just on your own. But then, I'm just speaking financially here, nothing else. Financially, you got benefits because there are tax credits, like we talked about earlier. You're sharing accommodation as a couple. So overall, is it cheaper to be married or not?
well, I think statistically, people who are married have a higher net worth than single or divorced people.
In divorce people, I can understand that.
Across the population as a whole, it's better to be married. Whether that applies to an individual is going to depend on all sorts of factors, isn't it? So
yes, yeah.
Does your spouse work? Do they make more money than you, or the same amount of money, or do they not work? But generally, I mean, I don't think I'd be in the financial situation I'm in if I wasn't married. I think being in that kind of long-term relationship where you've got support, emotional support, and you've got more bandwidth to work on your career or to work on money, and you're doing it together. And I don't know, I think generally, and also it's not money, but you end up much healthier if you're married, I think, as well.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I think on average it's probably cheaper. I don't know cheaper. It's really better financially to be married. But you might not be better off with your specific marriage.
Yeah. I wish I'd been able to answer that in the moment. All I could do was like, well, I'm not really sure about that. I'll ask Ben.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to generalize. It's like saying, how much money do you need to retire? Like, that's a nonsensical question that it depends on the person. And the only way you can answer it is by looking at the person's situation. So
yes,
you might be better off saying, would I be better off financially if I married this person?
That's a good point.
Because one thing I find is that it's so important to have the same values as your spouse. Not just for everything, but especially for money. So if you have the same general money values, then you're going to have a much happier marriage, I think.
Yes.
Whereas if you have different money values, where one of you has the instinct to do one thing with money and the other person wants to do something else, then you're just going to fight about money all the time. So
yeah, I know a couple who divorced over that. Good one. Although, having said that, if my son ever finds the right partner, then the finance part probably won't enter his head at that point. He'll forget about what he said. I guess.
Well, at that point, you utilize the father veto and tell him that he will not be marrying this unsuitable person.
Oh, no, please. We want somebody to normalize him. We tried, and please, somebody else's turn now. If you're watching, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. Right. So we do have an extra question actually that's appeared from
Mm.
if a spouse of an American, I don't know this, if a spouse of an American is Japanese and isn't on the IRS radar, in other words, no green card, for example, and they're in Japan that is in their name, are there any risks or drawbacks?
No, this is a really common situation. So the issue is that you have to make an IRS tax return. If you don't have to submit a tax return in the US, then you don't have any of the issues that apply to Americans. So anyone who has the American nationality has to do this. But if you're a Japanese spouse, and you have to be careful not to file jointly, because if the American spouse files jointly, then their spouse then becomes obliged to do the IRS stuff, and then all the issues resurface. So you have to be married filing separately or whatever that's called. But yeah, otherwise no. So lots of Americans encourage their spouses to invest in Japan while they invest in the US using an existing account or maybe Interactive Brokers Japan.
Good. Well, that was easier than I thought.
Yay.
Right, we've gone through the questions. To finish off, now I've looked, I just had a quick look on my phone. I think I've deleted the photo of the top 5 stocks in NISA. I'm really sorry. But
you tease you.
I have found, however, actually PayPay Securities, I didn't know that was a thing. PayPay Shoken, they actually publish monthly lists, and the most recent one is for July. So how about this as a compromise? I'll quiz you.
Individual company stocks?
Yes. Well, they do both. They're all sorts. They do funds. Quite a lot of funds there. They separate Japan and outside Japan. Oh, actually, it's only US actually. So, we can skip the funds.
Japanese.
You know what the funds
single
are.
Companies.
Yeah, and so the one I saw on TV was a mixture. I think it was, but anyway, PayPay one does it.
This is going to be easier. So, all right. So, Japanese single companies, most popular 5 holdings.
Oh, you think it's easy? Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll guess 5, and you tell me how many are on the list.
Yeah, the order. I forgive you for getting the order wrong.
Yeah. I'm not doing the order. I mean, Toyota.
Correct. That's 1. In 3rd place.
Just a sec. Tokyo Electron.
So just. Oh, I see. No. Boo-boo. I need a sound effect.
Really?
Yeah, that's not on there.
Because that's had a huge run up, so I assume people will be buying it. MUFJ.
It's not on there either. Boo-boo. No.
So I got 2 more.
You got 2 more guesses. The top, just to remind people, this is the top 5 Japanese stocks that people have put in their NISA in Japan in July.
Tobacco.
It's not on there either. No, not the top 5 at least.
Whoa. Rakuten?
No. Oh dear. Wow.
Fast retailing?
No.
NTT?
Okay. NTT, yes. So you don't get a point for that, but yeah, NTT is 2nd.
Damn. All right. So I got 1 out of 5. That's embarrassing. What are the other 4?
Right. Well, the first one, I was surprised at this. It's Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. Mitsubishi Ju Kogyo, I think that is. Then it's NTT. Then it's Toyota Motors. Then SoftBank. And number 5 is Oriental Land, which is the owners of Tokyo Disneyland.
Do you know why?
Because of the Kabunushi Yutai benefit thing, I guess.
Yeah, because I think it's a terrible stock, but the Kabunushi Yutai is free tickets, so everyone
the Disney
who doesn't
passport.
understand investing just buys it.
Yeah, I looked at it.
Whereas if you invested in something sensible, you could get money and then use the money to buy whatever you want, including tickets to Disneyland, if that tickles your fancy. So.
Yeah. When our son was younger, I thought, that'd be a nice thing to do. And I looked into it and I was like, wait a minute, you had to buy 100, as we saw earlier, 100 is the minimum. And the price is really high. It's like, wow, how much you're paying? That's a lot of money if you calculate it as a percentage. And then you look at the financials of the company and the PE ratio is way up high. So Yeah, I mean, it's not financial advice. Look into it. Lots of people, I'm sure, are very happy with it, but that's not for me.
Yeah, so I heard someone say that Kabunushi Yutai are a way to get financially unsophisticated investors to buy your stuff. So,
I really like the commodities too, but yeah, they're not my prime consideration.
I'm so annoyed about that.
Sorry. Okay, I can give you another chance then with the American ones. They also show the top American stocks that Japanese people have bought in, or Japanese residents have bought in their NISA account in July.
I mean, what is it going to be like? All right, have you got that? All right, so I'll say 5. Nvidia, Google.
Good, that's top. Google.
Facebook.
Google is not there. Facebook is not there.
Tesla.
Yes, that's number 2. You've got, I've forgotten how many guesses you got left. 2 or 3.
Facebook should be Meta. Sorry.
Yep, no, that's not there though.
Really?
Yep. Alphabet is there down in 10th place, but we're looking at the top 5.
So how many have I guessed? 3?
You've guessed 2. You got Nvidia and Tesla, which is 1 and 2.
I've had 3 guesses, right?
Oh, yes,
no, 4 guesses. 4 guesses. I've got one more. McDonald's or something stupid like that.
No, Apple is number 3.
Oh, of course. Right.
Number 5 is Amazon, Amazon.com. Now, number 4 is the SPDR gold ETF. Number 4.
Oh, gold's gone up quite a lot this year, hasn't it? So
yeah, but I'm surprised that would be you got an American ETF when there are Japanese ETFs, I think, for gold. Anyway, really high, but yeah, it's a good way. I don't know if I can say it's a good way, but I have gold through ETFs. I find it a very easy way to add gold to my portfolio. So yeah, lots of other people do too. I think do. Microsoft was 6th. Yeah, Meta's not on there. Alphabet down in 10th. There you go. Fascinating. Good. The funds.
I wonder how many of those people are happy now that the yen's strengthening.
Oh yes,
yes. Buying those, because that was the big thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. The actual funds, by the way, is pretty boring. The top 1 and 2 is Emaxis Slim,
S&P 500, and then All Country, right?
And All Country, yeah. Cool. Oh yeah, you're right. I should. Somebody suggested I should share that list. Of course, I should. Yes.
Well, after we did the thing, so I couldn't cheat.
Yeah, after. Yeah.
Nice.
There you go. It's in Japanese, but if you can read katakana, you'll be fine. Cool. I think that's everything then.
And that's a wrap. Season 2. Season 2 was fun. We kind of evolved. The show evolved in season 2, I think. So we discovered that it's just as fun to do the show without a guest, but 10% of the work.
Yeah, I mean, we do like having guests, and we've got some great past interviews with people.
I'm thinking maybe we'll do guest interviews separately in the future.
Oh, I see.
As necessary, we'll do it because I really like this format. So
yeah, okay. But when there's a good opportunity, we will do it separately. Yeah, sounds good to me.
Awesome.
Well, thank you everybody for the comments and questions. We really like that.
Thank you, Daniel, for joining me on this journey of podcasting.
Oh, thank you for allowing me to join. And so, yeah, November we'll be back with season 3.
Yeah, and new theme tunes and all sorts. So, Otanoshimi. All right, thanks everyone. See you in November.
Thank you all.